Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. XRP isn't owned by Ripple despite it holding a lot of it, says Brad Garlinghouse. And that's the title of a new article from AMB Crypto. I'm going to be running through this, and I've also got an article from the same crypto media website titled XRP is not a security, claims Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse. Both are brand spanking new stories right off the assembly line, shoddily put together with grammatically incorrect sentences and factual mishaps, if you will. But anyway, I'm going to be running through both of those, and then I got a few tweets from the XRP community I'm looking forward to sharing with you, and then we'll wrap up the video. Now, before we get going, if you would please ever so delicately tap that like button. And if you love your mama, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. She knows that you should do it. You know she knows that you should do it. And look, she wants you to be happy. It's the right thing to do. Let's go ahead and scroll down here to the first article. It has often been speculated by the community that XRP belongs to Ripple in spite of its officials making it clear that it only owns a lot of XRP. So I gotta tell you, so when I first read that sentence earlier this afternoon, when I was putting together, I was just kind of mapping out the videos that I knew I wanted to record for the day, I read that sentence. It has often been speculated by the community that XRP belongs to Ripple. Speculated by what community? Sure as hell not the XRP community. We've done our research, and we know that Ripple holds a lot of XRP, but doesn't have any special permissions over the decentralized XRP ledger. Period. So what's funny here is it's often speculated, okay, speculated by who? Bitcoin maximalists. That is who. That's exactly who speculates that type of nonsense. Ripple's CEO Brad Garlinghouse recently appeared on a podcast with Chris Brummer to assert the same, while informing the community about several developments in its ecosystem. Here's a quote from Ripple's CEO Brad Garlinghouse. Ripple uses open source technology, the XRP ledger. It's not our XRP. We own a lot of XRP, and so we care about the health, vibrancy, and activity. And then the article continues. Ripple uses XRP because it is more efficient in terms of cost per transaction than Bitcoin or Ether, he said. Despite not having owned Bitcoin, Garlinghouse said that he is bullish on the King coin. That is factually incorrect. But again, it's crypto media. You just type up with your fat little fingers whatever you want to. I'm sorry. God forbid the author listen. I'm actually not a mean guy. I'm just saying that for comedic effect. But I swear, no offense intended. But look, despite not having owned Bitcoin, that's factually incorrect. Brad Garlinghouse stated on many occasions that he's long Bitcoin and he owns Bitcoin. In fact, at one point, this is an interview from it might have been 2017, could have been early 2018. He was being interviewed by somebody, and he made known that he is long Bitcoin and is holding Bitcoin. And so the person interviewing him, and it was on a stage in front of an audience, but this interviewer asked Brad Garlinghouse, how much Bitcoin do you own? And then Brad just kind of looked at him like one of those kind of face, and his response to the guy interviewing him was, how much money do you have in the bank? Which I thought was funny. That was a good response right there. And then the interviewer goes, he pauses for a moment, he says, fair enough. And that was the end of that transaction. Then he moved on to something else. But anyway, the point being, yes, Brad Garlinghouse is long Bitcoin, and he does indeed hold it. But anyway, the piece continues. However, Garlinghouse argued that it, referencing Bitcoin, won't solve payment problems, citing Bitcoin's slow and expensive transactions. While several cryptocurrencies have been established with the intention of taking over fiat currencies, Garlinghouse claimed that he doesn't think of XRP as one that is championing consumer fiat experience. And he said, quote, XRP we think about as an institutional shuttling of value between different liquidity pools. And that's abundantly clear. The way that Ripple, of course, has been positioning XRP, it's purely as a bridge currency. And Brad Garlinghouse, what was that forum called? He spoke at the, it might have been, I think it was called the Economic Club of New York, right? I reported on it. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Economic Club of New York. And he was with a Fox business anchor. what was her name? Liz Clayman? Is that right? I don't know. I'm really pulling from memory here, but at that point, the concept of XRP being used for money was brought up, and Brad Garlinghouse, I had never heard him speak so fervently on this, but he made it clear. He's like, really, and he said seriously that he just does not believe that there's a reasonable consumer-facing application that could reasonably be adopted today. He said, he made it very clear that it's not really solving a problem. If you're talking about using XRP in the place of fiat currency, what problem are you really solving? That's essentially the point that he was getting at. And he's like, in the first world country here, in the United States, it works pretty well. The dollar works pretty well. Nothing's perfect, but if you're a consumer out there in the world and you're buying your groceries or getting your haircut or doing whatever it is that you're doing, you can pay with a high level of confidence, whether you're using paper cash or a credit card or debit card or whatever you want to do. And so that's why my whole thing is, look, maybe over the long haul, cryptocurrencies, whether it be Bitcoin or XRP or what, I don't know, I could certainly see a world where as there's less volatility and the technology takes hold, I could certainly see in areas around the world where there's perhaps political turmoil, there's fiat currencies that are experiencing rampant inflation, things along those lines. I could see cryptocurrencies being used in the place of fiat currencies, but that could take who knows? That could take decades to develop, and then it would just be used in portions of the world, not the world over. So anyway, that's how I've always looked at it. But several mainstream institutions and companies have expressed their interest in stablecoins. Tether, the largest stablecoin in the world, has exponentially grown over the past few years and is now one of the top 10 cryptocurrencies in the world. Garlinghouse went on to address the new trend of stablecoins that has caught the crypto community's attention. Like Bitcoin, Garlinghouse said that he is bullish on stablecoins, adding that these coins had exceeded his expectations. And he said, quote, "I think stablecoins are definitely here to stay." Now, I do agree with that. There's utility to be had with stablecoins. That's perfectly fine. They cannot be used in the same way that XRP is to be used, because then you have a walled garden situation, because stablecoins fundamentally are backed by something which requires trust. It just does. That's why there's this whole fear around Tether. How much Tether is actually backed. And last I heard, they actually announced this earlier this year, and I was kind of surprised, but it was something like somewhere in the neighborhood of 75% of Tether is actually backed. The rest is not. And the markets didn't freak out when that news came out, which was interesting to me. But anyway, the point is, you better have faith that the authority behind that is not going to go bust. Just saying. Then the piece continues. However, he also pointed out that it wouldn't change anything, as one would still require interoperability, even if someone owned as much as 50 stablecoins. Garlinghouse concluded by saying that he envisions a future where more interoperable networks would allow seamless money movement at remarkably low costs, but extremely high speeds. And here's a quote from him to wrap up the piece. "And I think there are so many examples that I think unlocks value for consumers, for businesses, and really accelerates global commerce." There you go. Now, this next article I got from XRP Crypto Wolf. Thank you very much, good sir, for sending this to my inbox. I appreciate all the stuff you send my way. Wish there were enough time in the day to cover everything you send over. But, so anyway, check out this. This is from AMB Cryptos. This is the other article I cited at the beginning of the video. XRP is not a security, claims Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse. Financial regulators have been highly involved with cryptocurrencies, further define the latter's nature of being decentralized assets. Really? While these regulators have been in the news a lot lately owing to Facebook's Libra, agencies such as the SEC have also garnered a lot of attention owing to its ruling on whether certain cryptos constitute a security or not. Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse addressed the question of whether XRP is a security or not in a recent podcast. Regulators often put forth laws to ensure the safety of individuals involved in a certain project. However, regulators have quite often expressed uncertainty pertaining to cryptocurrencies, which in turn would lead to uncertainty in the market as well. According to Garlinghouse, there's a lot of FUD and misinformation surrounding the industry, making it harder for regulators. And here's a quote from Brad. "It's born, I think, of almost a tribalism within the crypto world, where different parts of the community are tribal about their particular..." Well, indeed. I tell you, when I entered the world of cryptocurrencies, I was not prepared for the level of tribalism. I thought that whatever coin it is that you were, I just assumed, call it naivete, and it is. When you jump in, you don't know, right? So you jump into it, and you just think, oh wow, we're all friends, and we're all in this world where we found something kind of cool. I was kind of thinking along those lines as I really, in the first few days of finding out about cryptocurrencies, entered the space, and then I found out that. Every it seems like just literally every single cryptocurrency has its own community, big or small, and they a lot of them members of these communities don't like the other communities. It's so stupid. Oh my god, it's so stupid. And then I found out how much hatred there was coming down on Ripple and XRP because there's a coin that's being positioned by one of the developers, Ripple, building on top of the XRP ledger, to utilize it to make payments around the world and settlement specifically much more efficient. Which to me was just like mind-blowing, right? But anyway, Garlinghouse, who asserted that many people in the industry are doing damage to it by investing their energy in dissing or throwing shade at other projects. Now, that's a hip way to phrase that sentence. Are you dissing and throwing shade at the other project? Don't you do that. Addressing the question of how companies operate during regulatory uncertainty, Garlinghouse claimed that Ripple concentrates on solving customers' problems while building new products for the industry. Further, Garlinghouse went on to say that according to him, XRP isn't a security, and here's another quote from him. I understand the SEC has a hard job. I also think, when you're a hammer, everything's like a nail. And I think when you're in the SEC, sometimes everything might look like a security, which is fair enough. That's actually the most, it's not even that aggressive, but it's the most aggressive statement I've heard from Brad Garlinghouse about the SEC. It's not even bad or anything. It's just more, I think it's fair to state that. Anyway, Garlinghouse also argued that communications pertaining to cryptocurrencies with global regulators would clear misconceptions. He also revealed that he spends about 20 to 25% of his time engaging in discussions with global regulators. And here's the last quote from him. I spend that time explaining to them that this isn't about Silk Road and every transaction that goes through Ripple's technology is KYC. That's know your customer. Know your customer is checked for as well as AML, which is anti-money laundering. So there you go. All right, check out this tweet from XRP Crypto. I'm sorry, that's not at all it. From XRP_Crow, who is on Twitter as @Status, STEDAS, and he makes the most bestest XRP-related infographics that there are. He's the one that did the XRP community poster, and he gets all sorts of quotes from people from Ripple and other developers building on top of the ledger, and sometimes even XRP community members. So anyway, check out this one. I'm going to pull it up on the screen here, a little bit bigger here. So it's Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO, who stated, October 2019, I've been incredibly pleased by the engagement we've had with ranging from the IMF to central banks. And indeed, look, Ripple, they're all the employees there, they are the adults in the room. And they're the big boys, right? And they are working with regulators, clearly. And it's just one of those things where even though there are other entities out there in the world of crypto that, yes, are trying to play by the rules, no other company in the world of blockchain, period, is as proactive at engaging with regulators the world over. There is not even a close second. So that caught my attention. I think I just really like the stuff that XRP Crow puts out there. Anyway, I appreciate it. Next tweet here. All right, so there was a tweet from Mr. BXRP, and I did cover it in another video today, but then I retweeted it and got a comment, so I wanted to run through it again. So this is a tweet from Mr. BXRP, who is in Vegas with the Digital Asset Investor and some others. Brad Kimes is out there from Investment Perspectives, his YouTube channel. Anyway, so Mr. B tweeted this out. The anarchist mentality and hatred for XRP that by the majority of the attendees and companies here at World Crypto Conference, that's the conference they're at in Vegas, is overwhelming and laughable. The XRP community is by far the smartest community in the entire crypto space, no contest. Can't wait to do our own XRP meetup soon. And so I retweeted that and I wrote, XRP meetups equals yes please. I'd be happy to fly anywhere in the country to meet my fellow XRP community members in purpose. And then, of course, I did the smiley emoji because I'm feeling pretty happy. That represents my happiness as I was typing that tweet. And the thumbs up there, the little thumbs up emoji. And I wrote, that would be a blast. And it would be. I would love to do this. Somebody puts that together. I don't know if I kind of toyed with the idea. I haven't mentioned that before. I kind of toyed with the idea of maybe putting something together. I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that, but I would sure as hell attend something. I would love to do that because outside of where I live, I mean, I haven't in person met really anyone in the XRP community, and I feel like there's a lot of connections I've made through Twitter and through the YouTube videos, and it'd be great to meet a whole bunch of you out there. So anyway, Tweedsley, that is incorrect. Tweedsley responded to what I wrote there, and wrote, I hope to meet you someday. You are in my top 2 YouTube XRP content creators for sure. You and at Digital Asset Buy, which is the digital asset investor, but I won't say who's in first place. Well, I'll tell you what, just to be in the top 2, I am humbled. Thank you very much for responding, and I would love to meet you too. I'd love to meet everybody out there in the XRP community. And it's very kind of what you said. So if I'm in your top 2, I will happily take second place to Digital Asset Investor. That guy is just, I mean, come on. He has obviously the biggest XRP YouTube channel out there. He's pushing nearly 60,000 subscribers. It's really impressive what he's done out there, but I think it just speaks to the content he's putting out there. Look, I've been following him for over a year. He's just enjoyable to listen to. Whatever it is about him, he's enjoyable. He's obviously very passionate, and just like the rest of us are. And he's just covering the news of the day. I like it anyway. So anyway, just to be put in the realm of that, I just wanted to say thank you. All right, last tweet, and then I better wrap up this video here. There's somebody named GSL on Twitter who tweeted out, breaking, swell 2019 big announcement from Ripple will be 2 banks holding custody of digital assets. Banks authorized to hold will be 2 locations, Mexico and the Asiatic territory. They will use XRP and new corridors. And I wasn't tagged in this one. A few other XRP YouTubers were, but this is in my news feed. And so I just responded, what is your source? And that was a couple days ago. Didn't hear back. And then Bullet Train responded with something that just kind of made me chuckle. Because I asked, what is your source for this? This is completely unverified. This is not something that I believe because there's no evidence out there, period. If there were evidence, well, okay, then maybe I might be persuaded. But there is none, right? And so anyway, Bullet Train wrote, in response to what is your source for this, he wrote, a little fuzzy cartoon bear wearing a jester hat, duh. Which made me laugh. So I get it. We're talking about Bearable Guy 123, right? That's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!